everyone, this is Prequel Entertainment and we're back again, and here now we have another video for you, and we're going to give some quick thoughts on Vought Rising and decide whether or not it's a worthy or necessary spin-off series to The Boys. Now there could be spoilers mentioned here for The Boys series, the Gen V series, and also The Boys original comic book, so just beware when going into this overall video. So if you didn't know by now, Vought Rising is the upcoming prequel spin-off series that is set within The Boys universe. Centering on the lead character, the superpowered being known as Soldier Boy, it's set within the 1950s and charts the origins of the mega corporation known as Vought, originally created by Frederick Vought to operate in the World War II Nazi Germany era to carry out human experimentation to design humans with enhanced capabilities. This leads to the creation of the substance known as Compound V that produces individuals with super abilities who were eventually known as Supes. Now, in terms of the Boys universe, the Vought company progressed into the modern day era to generate the most famous group of Supes known as the Seven, led by Homelander, the most powerful Supe ever, and they would go on to become very much celebrity superheroes within a modern day culture. Soldier Boy, being the first propaganda celebrity Supe, existed back in the early 1950s. Frederick Vought and his wife Clara Reisinger eventually defected to the Allied forces, where they continued their research. Now, in terms of the series, the story sees Soldier Boy back in the 1950s alongside Clara, who would go on to be known as Stormfront in the Boy series, and they will interact with other superpowered beings whilst working alongside the continued existence of the Vought company. The series Vought Rising is due to debut on Amazon sometime in 2027. Now, for me, the existence of the Vought Rising series has already come into harsh scrutiny following the fallout of the final season of The Boys. Now, that particular season has come under huge negativity for how its story was handled or indeed mishandled, and how many fans felt that it didn't deliver the epic, satisfying conclusion that they were all hoping for. Now, probably the biggest flaw throughout the final season of The Boys was that the story, after the first 3 episodes, really got derailed into filler elements that involved the continued presence of Soldier Boy, and we had the continued referencing of characters such as Bombsight and Clara or Stormfront, who will both be integrally involved in the Vought Rising series. And this inclusion really went on for about 3 to 4 episodes, where many of us felt that the final season of The Boys felt more like a promo for Vought Rising rather than providing the epic conclusion that had been built over the 4 previous seasons. The consensus surrounding Vought Rising is that many people are looking at it and asking, do we really want or need this prequel story surrounding Soldier Boy and Vought and how it was created? For my personal opinion, I wasn't, and I think overall Vought Rising once more brings up the constant issue of unnecessary prequel stories within entertainment that are done much more for the sake of content purposes and milking successful franchises rather than real creative or progressive storytelling. It's something that's been apparent really in entertainment within the last 10 years. We've seen multiple successful and famous cultural IPs from the likes of Star Wars, Dragon Ball Z, Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, all producing multiple prequel stories that really felt unnecessary and didn't develop the franchises in a natural order. And all of this really happens because a prequel story is far more easier because you have already the established backstory and outline within the original story. You can feed off the connection of current franchises and characters, and you can reuse that constant name recognition to draw fans into the prequel story, making them feel that it's a quintessential addition to the franchise. This is far more simpler than rising to the challenge of creating new characters and taking the continuity forward, and that's something that many studios are just not willing to do. And this is really what we are seeing from Vought Rising, and Amazon really wants to continue that goodwill and nature taken from The Boys into that particular series. But of course, that hasn't been really the case given what happened in terms of the fallout and criticism of The Boys' final season. Now, the first trailer for Vought Rising recently dropped, and to be honest, it wasn't anything particularly special. Basically, we see Soldier Boy in his younger form mixing it in with the other potential members of Vought. Again, it gives that retro vibe set within the 1950s. It doesn't really give us too much in terms of the major story. We see the appearance of Stormfront or Clara, again, who appeared in the 2nd season of The Boys. And in terms of an individual trailer, I felt this was fine. It didn't give too much away. It looks okay in terms of its overall production. But I would say is that it doesn't leave me with any real excited impression to watch the series. And the show itself is going to come under heavy fire if it doesn't turn out to be good. Many fans will watch it and they will ask the question, was this the series that was worth sacrificing the final season of The Boys? And I think that's a very valid question. Now, on the other hand, we also have to consider the fact that Vought Rising as a show could be good. Just because it's a prequel, that doesn't necessarily reflect its overall quality. And there have been prequel stories and series of successful franchises that have gone on to be very good and successful. Now, personally, for me, still the greatest prequel series in television and entertainment, or certainly within the last 10 to 15 years, has been Spartacus, Gods of the Arena. And that series really added a lot in depth to the established characters, but also managed to stand on its own as a truly great series. We look at Better Call Saul, which had a mega successful run and gained a lot of the same critical reception and adulation that what was very similar with Breaking Bad. House of the Dragon also followed a much maligned final season in Game of Thrones, but that still proved to be very good and exceptional at times, especially in its first season. And we will shortly be drawing the third season later on this year. So it is possible that Vought Rising could be a good show. I guess the bigger issue is how badly the final season of The Boys was affected in order to push forward this prequel. And I think when you look at that final season of The Boys and how it played out, it does highlight once more the curse of the marvelisation of entertainment. When you're spending more time building on something in the future rather than what's going on currently in front of you. This constant need to build a long-running franchise and spin-off and a universe, a connected universe, where we have constant Easter eggs and references and end credit sequences and cameo appearances, really do get in the way of the overall organic storytelling for the current products that you are putting out. And I think that's something that has to be really looked at and addressed in the short term overall. But whether that determines as to whether Vought Rising will go on to be a good series or not remains to be seen. So there's my overall thoughts and feelings on the upcoming Vought Rising prequel series to The Boys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and if you have any further movies, television series, or any other topics within the pop entertainment and culture scene that you'd like to see me cover in the future, then let me know in the comments and I'll see if I can provide further commentary for you on that subject matter within the future. Please hit and like the subscription and notification buttons so I can provide you with more quality content like this in the future. But that's it for now. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you very, very soon.